welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports and entertainment talk show about the New York Giants, the New York Mets, movies, television, comedy, and a whole lot more. It's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I am a plump and furry Irish-Italian-American who graduated from a Catholic high school but is not Catholic, god damn it. I went to a private research university known for producing doctors and lacrosse players and biomedical engineers who have created vaccines that are going to rid us of this fucking pandemic, and also people that get to interview Barack Obama. Just found out that today, and I didn't become any of that. Instead, I am a peacock captain. Gotta let me fly. You can leave me a voicemail at 862-BIT-1986. That's 862-248-1986. 1986, of course, the last year that the Giants and Mets both won a world championship. You can subscribe to Giant Mess on YouTube at youtube.com/realcinch or /Neal Lynch, or just search for Giant Mess Neal Lynch, and I should pop up right at the top there in the SERPs. You can go to my official blog, neallynch.com. If you go to neallunch.com, you're in for a treat. Because I don't know what's there, but it's got to be cool. You can go on Facebook. I don't know. Facebook's so popular, but I guess it's still a thing. I just don't go on it. Facebook.com/giantmess. Also Real Cinch on Twitter and Instagram. And you can subscribe to this podcast wherever you put a podcast in your fucking head. On today's episode, we'll talk about the Giants' win, 2-point win over the Cincinnati Bengals, the banged up Bengals. We'll preview the Giants' next game against the Seattle Seahawks. Not looking good, but who knows. And we'll also finish with the Mets signing Trevor May. We'll take a look at which player is the best free agent fit for the Mets. Where do the Mets rank as a destination for George Springer? The DJ Lemahieu domino effect. Not the dominatrix effect. Although, that'd be pretty cool too. Best November trades for the Mets and the worst December trades for the Mets. So with that, let's just dive right on in, because this is already one hell of a shit show, folks. I wanted to review Bill and Ted Face the Music, but it's just not going to happen. I mean, it's almost midnight as it is, and I'm tired, and I need to get through this. I need to do it. Just do it, all right? Nike got it right way back in the 80s. Just do it. In terms of life, I don't know. Thanksgiving happened. Weird Thanksgiving. So, we had, truth be told, my wife was like, this is back in November, early November, late October. My birthday is first week in November, and she was just like, just tell me what you want to do. Tell me what you want to do. And I was like, we don't have to do anything. And it's like, and if your family doesn't have anything planned for Thanksgiving, maybe we just road trip it down to South Carolina. I'll take the week off from work, and we'll spend that Thanksgiving week with my family. And we'll do like, my brother-in-law's birthday is like pretty much the day before or right around Thanksgiving. Mine's a couple weeks before. We'll do a joint birthday party, Thanksgiving extravaganza. I mean, how does that miss? How do you go wrong with that? Such a great plan, and I know, COVID was like, nah, we're going to put the kibosh on all that shit. We're going to squash that real quick, son. Because the cases just went skyrocketed every day. It was just like, oh, we're now past what we were initially in March and April when it first hit, and no one knew what the fuck was happening. We're now past that. So people must have got jiggy with it on Halloween, just been like, I cannot suppress my Halloween spirit. And so people must have gone hog wild or something. I don't know, because it skyrocketed. Maybe it was, I don't know. I can't even put my finger on it, but it's like kids are going to college. And if you're like, if I'm in that boat, if I'm 20, 19, 21, and I'm in college and people are like, yeah, there's a disease going around, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice, because there's about 18 diseases flowing through my body as it is. Give me all the diseases, because you feel like you're invincible when you're that age and you can just take on the world. And it's like, okay, whoever you are, great, good for you, but you're not me at age 20, 19, 21. I can take a bullet. That's basically what. So maybe it's the college kids coming home from break. I don't know, but it's just maybe Veterans Day. People wanted to salute the troops and they instead ingested some COVID. I don't know, but it just went through the roof. So it was like, do we drive down there to South Carolina? My sister lives in the middle of nowhere, so we probably won't see anyone. But then again, so-and-so, they hung out with so-and-so who belongs to a motorcycle club who meets every Friday, no masks, no social distancing. And then so-and-so works in the ER dealing with COVID cases all day, every day. And if there's all these weird, vague, ambiguous, it's the honor code. And people are taking advantage of the honor code. And we could have taken advantage of the honor code and been like, no, we didn't go anywhere. I swear. Because it's like, how are you enforcing this? And that's all I did that week leading up to Thanksgiving week was like, just like, what's the legality around this thing? Like, can we, like, are they going to stop us at each state border and be like, where are you going? Business or pleasure? Declare your fruits, that kind of thing. Do you have any fruits with you? Like, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be border patrol in between the states. But on the 1% chance that someone catches it or gives it to us down there, they say no gatherings of more than 10. And I was like, oh, well, it's just us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they're like, oh no, actually these 2 or 3 people are coming over. And then we're going to hang out with these 3 people. And it's just like, all right. And the school's like, if we find out that you answer these questions the wrong way, you're banned. It's like, interesting. So it's like, we could just lie and not get banned, or, it's like how they don't test the kids. And if the kid is asymptomatic, can kids be asymptomatic? I don't know, dude. COVID is one of the weirdest things ever, pretty much. Because there's just like a million symptoms, or you just don't have any symptoms, but you still have it and you're just passing it along to everyone. So it's like, why is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it worth the risk? Knowing what we went through from March to July, where it was like, we're both working full time. And when she's home, it's, and we're both working and can't pay attention to her. It's just it's a nightmare. It's literally a walking, living nightmare that's, constantly on fire. So, and I had the week off. I took the week off before Thanksgiving week. Before Thanksgiving week? Huh? Did I? No, I didn't. Did I? No, I didn't. Yes, I did. I didn't. Yes, I did. And that, even just me trying to, surveil the child did not pan out. So she's in this really funky mood where she has like, doesn't like wearing clothes, which could be problematic later on down the road. And then she is not into naps at all. And she's just not into sleep. I think she got into like Nas too much. Like Nas said, sleep is the cousin of death. I think she just got like too deep into Nas and one hell of a rap god. And I think it just, no, didn't work out. Yeah, so it's been tough. It's been rough and it's been tough. And she has this new expression now, this new saying. So she's always been a big fan of no. Now she's getting into saying, I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm not done. And I don't know where she picked it up, because I mean, I guess I do say that a lot. I do say that a lot. So yeah, she probably picked it up from there. but she's just throwing like hellacious tantrums. I mean, this is the worst that her tantrums have been. And it's tough. It's tough. And we're trying to figure out like what, because she went back to daycare. So daycare shut down for a couple weeks. They opened like the day, Thanksgiving Eve, the day before Thanksgiving. And we got repeated emails from the school being like, you need to email us and tell us if you're not going to be in school on Wednesday, because we have to staff appropriately. Like, if you're not going to be in school, tell us. And we're like, all right. And then we ended up, because I took off from work. I slept in, and my wife is literally, I don't know when she sleeps. She just works constantly. So we slept in, and, they had sent us like a urgent email at 9, like, hey, are you coming in? Like, we didn't get that till about 10:30. And we're like, yeah, we'll be in like a couple minutes, 11 o'clock. And we drop her off, and it's like, there's just no one. I think she was the only kid in that entire school. And they're sending us pictures, and like, they're like, Brielle's having a lot of fun with her friends. And then there was like, it's just her in the picture, and you don't see any other kids in the picture. And you're like, you don't have to lie to us. She's the only kid there. We got it. She was having a blast though, because there's more space. There's more shit to do. There's actually someone there that's willing to participate in activities with her. So she had a blasty blast. And then this past week, she just developed like this insane separation anxiety where, the school is, I don't know if the school is just covering things up or not telling us things, which, could happen. But, I dropped her off. She just like didn't want to put on her socks, didn't want to put on her shoes, didn't want to put on her sweatshirt, didn't want to put on her jacket, didn't want to put on her hat. So I like carried her out of the house screaming. She was screaming. I wanted to scream, and like managed to get her in the car seat, but like everything else is just in a pile in the passenger seat. And then I figure, all right, she'll get it out in the car. It's like a 3-minute ride to the school. She'll get it out in the car. And then once we get to school, she'll like compose herself, namaste, just like serenity now, like just trying, and she'll compose herself, and she'll see that the friends are going in and her teachers are there. And because it's the school, and because she's not as comfortable, that whole bullshit theory, like she's not as comfortable with them as she is with us. So she behaves with people she doesn't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, but no, she just kept on going and then cranked up the ante to 11. Like, you thought that was bad, trying to get me out of the house, try and get me in that school. I dare you, motherfucker. And I put on, and she's just wailing the entire time. So I put on the sweatshirt, and I had to re-put on the shoes for the 10th time in 10 minutes. And, walk her to school, and she's just not, she's like wriggling and trying to get out of my arms, and just like falling on the ground. And I get in the lobby, and she's wailing, and I just have like an armful of loose items. They're not even in a bag. I'm trying to check in on the friggin' pad. I forgot the code, and she just like decides to just fall on the ground in the middle of the lobby. And it's a small lobby. It's not a big lobby. And she's just doing like snow angels, like angry snow angels on the floor of the lobby. And I'm just sitting there. I'm just standing there looking at her like, I don't know what to do with this person anymore, with this human. I don't know what to do. And, I've heard, it's like the latest philosophy or latest approach on dealing with a kid with a tantrum is don't pay attention to them. Just ignore them, which is fine in the house. I'll ignore you all goddamn day and night. But like when we're in the lobby of a small school, and there's like a line of socially distanced parents waiting outside to drop off their kids so they can go about their day and get their job done. It's like, maybe I shouldn't be standing there and staring at her, indifferent as I was. Meanwhile, like the helper or whatever, the two elder women, senior women that are at the front are just like, oh, like they can't. They're just like, couldn't handle it. And then they have this like new director who's very energetic man, and he, he's just very helpful, but also very cheery and bright. And so they managed to get her in, and I just fucking bailed. I don't think I said goodbye or anything. And then I walked out to a sea of socially distanced parents who are just like, feel for you, dude. Feel for you. Can't imagine what they're saying about me, but I was just like, you know what? I just can't think about what other people are thinking about me right now. Yes, I'm an asshole. Yes, I know. Okay, just let me go away and go back to my shell, my little hermit crab shell, and shame myself. So, yeah, tantrums galore. But yeah, I mean, Thanksgiving was good. Made my first pumpkin pie. Could have been a lot worse, tell you that. Wasn't that bad. I think there's like a little bit of, I just made my second pumpkin pie tonight. I think it's going to turn out a little bit better, but there's certain directions you read on the instructions of a recipe and you don't think a lot about it. You're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's more like, that's like maybe best case scenario, or like, not required. It's not a requisite. You can you can probably skip that one. And the first pumpkin pie, I was like, there's a part where you have to pour the filling that you mix together into the shell, pie crust shell. If it's pre-made, which I didn't make the pie crust shell. Sue me, okay? I'm lazy. And they tell you in the instructions, like, make sure you do this shit on a baking sheet or you will regret it. And I just was like, I have a lot of regrets, and this is probably not going to be one of them. But then you don't realize that the aluminum foil that the pie crust shell is in is flimsy. So flimsy, ever so flimsy. And so I poured it, and then I tried to like transport that into the oven, and it went everywhere. So yeah, learned my lesson there. And so I did it the second time. I did it the right way, and I think it's going to come out better. But you don't realize, and this is, privileged straight white guy talking, who's a mama's boy, whose mom does all the baking and cooking on Thanksgivings and every other holiday. You don't realize that the pumpkin pie has to cool for like fucking 8 days. Didn't realize that. I just thought, okay, you bake it, you let it cool, you eat it. How long could it take to cool? Well, apparently it takes, you have to put that sucker in a meat locker for like half a day before you can enjoy it. So I did not realize that. So we didn't get any pumpkin pie on actual Thanksgiving Day. Kind of a disappointment, but it still came out pretty decent. I mean, trying to cut it the next day was like, that was also disastrous. But all in all, first pie in the docket, in the record books and in the books. I think it came out all right. Threw a little vanilla in there. I forgot the vanilla this time, but I think we're doing all right. As for Thanksgiving meal, it was just me, the wife, and the babe. And the babes wanted no part of anything, which is insane. Her palate has evolved crazily over these 2 years. I mean, she had a better diet when she was like less than 6 months to like 1 year old than she does now. Her diet has regressed exponentially. She was eating like avocado, sweet potato, beans, this and that and this and that. When she was younger, she just eats cereal bars now, goldfish. That's it. And the little yogurts. That's like it. She just can't. Just is not interested in any other food, which is a shame. But it was just the two of us. But I think Cass got like I want to say like a 40-pound turkey? That can't be right. It's 15. It's for every 15 pounds you do an hour in the oven, maybe. So yeah, maybe it was like fucking 40 pounds for 2 people. We still have like half a turkey or more in the refrigerator right now, and we're going on a week later. But we also had the creamy mashed potatoes, very nice. A green bean casserole, but it had like cream spinach, which I thought was an interesting twist. The crispy onions on tap, stuffing, but with like chicken sausage, pork sausage, which I love. You know, who doesn't love stuffing? And now we're gonna get even weirder with it because my wife, in kind of a panic move, maybe dire straits, like kind of just blew right past lunch today, and so she ordered pizza from down the street and decided to order like garlic bread. So I'm thinking we have a lot of bread left over. We have some sausage, the mix with the celery and the onions and all that jazz. We have that mix still available. So maybe we'll do like a garlic bread stuffing with sauce. Oh boy, I'm getting very aroused. I also, we had the green bean casserole, we had the stuffing, mashed potatoes. We just completely forgot about the gravy. Luckily, we were able to kind of like whip it together last minute, or Cass was, and it would turn out to be pretty good. I feel like I'm missing out. Oh, cranberry sauce. Fuck yeah, the cranberry sauce from the can. Splooshing out. And all that cooking, 5+ hours of cooking. And I piled my plate as high as it would go. It was a mountain of food, and it was done in 15 minutes. Easy. This is the first Thanksgiving, though, that I did not go back for seconds. I don't know what got into me. I didn't even eat anything beforehand. Maybe that was my mistake, is like, the competitive eaters, they want to make sure that their belly or stomach is nice and loose and flexible. So the key is you don't want to not eat going into it. You want to make sure that you are eating so that you're preparing your stomach for the feast to come, the storm. And I didn't do that. I didn't eat anything beforehand. So maybe that's why. First Thanksgiving, I never had seconds. Crazy. But we made, there was obviously the Thanksgiving leftover sandwich the next day. I made we have these small tortillas. So I tried to do a burrito one time and it bust open. So that didn't work. But then I did another tortilla and I did like a monster soft taco and just kind of worked my way that way. You bite one end, bite the other end, and then you go up top, bite end, top, and top. I got to say, I don't have a lot of talents or skills in this world. I really don't. But eating sloppy foods without spilling it, I take pride in that. I really do. It's like one of I got it. Years of practice. Right now, I'm drinking the 2 Xmas from Southern Tier Brewing Company. It's a limited beer, spiced double ale, brewed with orange peels, ginger root, cardamom, cinnamon, fig paste, and cloves. And you might hear that description or whatever and think, no thanks, pass. But it comes together pretty nicely, and it's 8% alcohol, so you can't go wrong with that. And then so my sister-in-law did visit, but she's very conscious about everything that's going on. Masks, social distancing, all that jazz. So she did come over Black Friday, and we played some games, Clue, which I cannot win at. I just cannot win. And my strategy is still to this day, I don't think I develop a strategy until like everyone else knows the answer. And then I'm like, okay, here we go. I think I know what to do now. I don't have a strategy going into it. And then I finally get the strategy like right before the person guesses it correctly. And then Sorry was the other one we played. And, sorry gets a bad rap, and you suggest sorry, and people are like, sorry, I'm not into sorry. And it's like, okay, it's not really knocking anyone's socks off. And then you play it, and the turning points, the shifts in momentum are monumental. Like, I was in dead last, and sister-in-law was like, had two on the home stretch and one rounding the corner. My wife had basically all three, like, turning third, rounding third, going home. And I was like still stuck, like trying to get to first pace. Very reminiscent of high school. And all of a sudden, with like the flip of 2 or 3 cards, I'm now in first, looking to take the wheel, take the crown, and everyone else is just struggling. And then I went back to dead last within the flip of 2 or 3 cards. It's just it's bananas, it's bonkers. There was one move that was highly controversial, and I need everyone's take on it. So if you know what to do about this, that would be great. Essentially, there's a card that allows you to split a move. If you pull a 7, I think it's the 7 card, right? You can split the 7, the move of 7, into 2 with your 2 pieces. So you have 2 pieces on the board. You can do 3, move this one 3, and then you can move this one 4. You can move this one 2, move this one 5, blah, blah. That's how my brain processes it, right? So my wife pulls off this move that had me and the sister-in-law questioning life itself. She pulls the 7 card. She moves the 1 piece onto the, I think it was like 1 or 2 times, onto the slide portion where you hit that one, you can slide a couple more. So she does that. She goes back to the other piece, goes 1 or 2 slides, and then she comes back to the first original piece and goes 1, 2, and hits the second slide. I mean, is that legal? It doesn't sound legal. It doesn't feel legal. Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, you can split the 7 twice. You can, this move is this many spots, and this move is this many spots, and that adds up to 7. But moving and then moving and then moving again, whoa, you just broke my brain. And she got pretty upset about it that we're calling her out, because she's very strategic, and I like to think that I'm strategic, but I'm not anywhere near when it comes to at least board games as she is, because like, holy shit. And it's like, why do you keep calling me out? Why do you think I'm cheating? I was like, well, you're doing things no one else has done in like the history of the game. You're doing it. No, if we were doing it, then it would be different. But like, you're the only one doing it, and you're the first one to do it, and it's confusing, and you're confusing me. And I fear change, and I fear what we don't know, and I don't know that this is legal. So that was nice. Well, the old Thanksgiving fight. It's gotta happen. It's bound to happen. So, and then I guess I'll leave off the life section by saying I was on Barstool. I clicked I get the newsletter every day, and there was one of the stories was from White Sox Dave from Barstool Chicago, who I love Barstool Chicago. And he wrote up a story about a video that he watched, the 40 some odd minute video about this chiropractor who only cracks the backs of smoke shows on video. And I was like, all right, I'll give this a little shot, because the thumbnails got me feeling things inside my body. So I clicked through, not really paying attention to the gentleman, the doctor, in the thumbnail. And then I pressed play on the video, and I'm like, this guy looks super familiar, and he sounds super familiar. And I end up, White Sox Dave does not mention the name of the doctor, but I was like, this is, yeah, I think I know who this is. And I end up, reading some more of the article, reading more of the details. And it's like, oh, this doctor's office is located here. And I'm like, huh. And I'm like, I know who this is. So then I Google the name and the location. And sure enough, this is the dude, Dr. Brent Binder, who I went to high school with, was a couple grades below me. I was in his older brother's year, his grade, Bill Binder, who, shout out Billy Beasting, Billy Badass. He's got his own show about, it's like a whiskey review show while he golfs, which is an amazing combination. I believe it's called Binder Stash. And it's on IGTV, it's on YouTube, and it's 1,000 million times better than what I'm doing here. I'm just, I'm in my living room on a beer pong table with a Christmas tree, talking about life, my 2-year-old daughter, and the Giants and the Mets. But yeah, Brent Binder with an absolutely genius move where I don't know how he does it. He probably either offers these ladies, you watch the videos and you're like, you 1,000% immediately right off the bat understand why they're having back problems. You're like, yep, I get it. They got a lot going on there. But like he's either giving these women free chiropractic sessions that are probably worth up to blah, 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 or maybe he's paying them, or maybe he's giving a cut of the revenue from the ads that he gets in the videos. But it's like, what a genius move. And he also incorporates like ASMR into it, where like he sets up a microphone super close and has it highly sensitive, and then you can hear him just do like the really quick like jerk, and then you hear the crack, and then he's like, yeah. Oh, good old Brent Binder. Oh my god, dude, so funny when he cracks the bones and whatnot. He just, and chiropractors, it looks so violent when they do their moves, just so quick, and you hear the crack and you think, and there's a split second where you think, oh my god, he killed her. Like every time he did it too, it was like, oh my god, she's dead. Oh my god, he just broke her ankle. Oh my god, he just broke her foot. Oh my god, he broke her wrist, her neck. Oh my god, cracked neck. But no, it's completely fine. She felt way better. But there was there's little flirtations here and there you could see. She'll say something and he'll like say something back and give a little smile. I was just like, oh boy, this is like, and everyone was all the comments were like, this dude looks like Johnny Sins. And yeah, it definitely had a Johnny Sins vibe to it. I was like, this is going to take a turn if he keeps this up with the touching of the spine. So that was cool to see. I'm super happy for him. I can't imagine what those videos are doing for his business. I assume it would be good for business. I don't know how it would be bad for business. And it's exactly what you would want from a YouTube video, which it's the opposite of what this is. It's supposed to be informative and entertaining. And it's both. Like I actually did learn some things where he's like pointing out, see like the curvature here? And he's like obviously like tickling her back, but at the same time he's like, see the curvature here? And she's like, oh boy. Should I be, why is this not safe for work? Even though I'm working remotely, working from home, like is the wife okay with this? So, yeah, that's life. We're in December now. Oh my God. Freaking November, dude. Just, and I have not, I think I worked out once like last weekend. But like I am just in full on bear mode right now. All I want to do is hibernate and eat and drink as much as possible. I'm like baking and cooking is the only physical activity I'm getting in right now. Like I somehow like pulled my back again, threw out my back. I threw out my back in 2014 and now the back's acting up. And like I watched Daniel Jones strain his hamstring. I watched RG3 strain his hamstring. And I'm like, I feel like I'm next. I'm not running anywhere, but I feel like it's coming. The strained hammy has got to be on the way. I'm shocked that I've never strained my hamstring or pulled my hamstring. With that said, I just guaranteed it for sure. But yeah, we watched, I'd love to do a lot of movie and TV reviews for you guys, because I did watch a lot. I've through episode 4 in The Mandalorian. So I hope to have, when there's more time, to do a little more review on that. Holiday was another movie I saw on Netflix that I was avoiding like the plague, because I was like, I don't know if I want to do like a kissing booth type cheesy rom-com, but I liked it a lot. So hopefully I have a full review of that coming soon. Like I said, Bill and Ted Face the Music. I hope to have a full review of that. Coming down the pike, maybe next week. Maybe. I don't know. If you're good. And then the customary traditional viewing of planes, trains, and automobiles on Thanksgiving Eve. AMC Plus is offering a 30-day free trial during like the one period of time where it's like all of my favorite holiday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas movies are on AMC. So the timing is like perfect. And no commercials and uncensored, the way it should be. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Thanksgiving Eve, Steve Martin, John Candy. Oh my goodness, John Candy, gone too soon. But Steve Martin and John Candy in that movie, I don't know that they make comedies like that anymore. Or maybe they do, and then we automatically think, oh, it's a knockoff, or they're ripping off Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But what a goddamn movie. Heart, emotion. And for some reason I got in my head like age, like I'm now 40. I don't know. I mean, I definitely feel 40. I feel like I'm 80 at this point. But like when I talk and when I don't know. I still feel like I'm in my 20s or my 30s. And so I was like, I remember this came out in 87. I was probably, I just turned 7. So like, to me, those two dudes seemed like they were ancient. I mean, like when I talked to my sister and her daughter, my niece, and she was like, hey, Kensley, sorry, you can bleep that out. How old do you think Uncle Neil is? And she was like, 77. Like, there's just no concept of age, of how old someone is when you're that young. And so when I was 7, it's like looking at Steve Martin with his white hair. You're like, this guy's probably like 94, 95. And so I was like, I just quickly looked it up on IMDb. Like what, how old was Steve Martin and John Candy when this movie came out? John Candy was like 37 when Planes, Trains, and Automobiles came out. And Steve Martin was like 42 or something like that. So I'm like right in that same age range, and I feel like they are light years ahead of me. And like the character that fucking John Candy plays in that movie is like, spoiler alert, not doing great. So, and I still feel like he's light years ahead of me. Just because he's got it going on, and I do not. And then another movie that I watched that is like, I have to watch it every year right around this time is Scrooged. Came out in 88 with Bill Murray. And I don't care how many times I watch that freaking movie. That final scene always gets me. Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is from earlier in the movie, but I'm referring to the waterworks coming down my face and out my eyeballs. Because when that little kid, what is his name? Basically like the modern day version of Tiny Tim. Is it Charlie? No, it's not Charlie. The little kid who's mute throughout the movie. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it yet, I mean, Jesus, take your time. But yeah, Bill Murray is standing there and he's giving out this rousing speech, and it's like life-changing and life-affirming, and he's winning everyone over, and he's finally like out of breath. He's run through his spiel, and he gets a tug from the kid on the pant leg. He's like, yeah, did I miss anything, big man? and the little kid, oh, I'm about to like cry right now. Holy shit, I'm not even watching it. I'm just reenacting it. And the little kid goes, "God bless us, everyone." Like whispers it up to Bill Murray. Bill Murray is like immediately like a shockwave of emotion goes through him. And you could tell it's real because it's there's no way it's not real. You can't watch that kid freaking do that. A mute kid do that and not be phased. Who the fuck are you? So yeah, I love Scrooged. I would say it's one of the most underrated Christmas movies of all time. And it's in my we talked about it over the weekend. Like, what are your favorite Christmas movies? And like Scrooged is like, I think it's my number one. I know that's absolutely bananas because you have Home Alone 2, Elf. You have all that jazz, but like Scrooge just gets it every single time I watch it. So yeah, that's life. That's movies. Let's talk Giants. This was a game against the Bengals where I really did think we were going to be in trouble. I did. I sent out a tweet being like, I am trying my damnedest not to have these thoughts go through my head. But this was like the epitome of a trap game in my mind because it's like we're riding high. We just beat a team we haven't beaten in so long. We've broken the curse. We're coming off a bye. We got extra rest. We got all these players coming back. Joe Burrow is out. Joe Mixon is out. John Ross is out. So like they don't have any offense to speak of. And then we had a couple of players test positive. You had Matt Parrott, Caden Smith, and Dante Pettis. Not like huge losses, but again, Parrott has shown a lot of potential. Caden Smith is always great in the blocking scheme and also can catch the ball here and there. And then Pettis, it was just wanted to see what he's got cooking there. And I was just worried. There's no I shouldn't have been worried, but it's just like I've seen this play out too many times. I've been burnt in the past. I've told this story a million times, but like when the Giants were going to face the Eagles, might have been 2011, with Michael Vick was out or injured or something like that, and Vince Young was going to start, and I was like, Vince Young, we're going to demolish Vince Young. And of course, Vince Young led him to a victory. So, and if you're a Giants fan, you know that we just us versus backup quarterbacks doesn't pan out, at least in modern history in the past 10 to 20 years. We just, for whatever reason, that backup quarterback shows up and we're just like, we got this. And then we don't got this. So I sent out a tweet just being like, I don't know how I feel about this. Because originally it was Ryan Finley was going to be starting. And I think this is the same Ryan Finley. I'm probably mistaken that I went to a Jets game, the Jets versus the Cardinals, with my buddy from college I played baseball with, and I had a podcast with Tri-State Sports Guys. And I don't know if this is the same dude. Maybe it is, but it reeks of the same guy, where we watched a full 60-minute NFL professional football game. The final score was 9-6, I think. And there was like no first downs. And I think the only first down was Matt Sims, who I believe was the third string quarterback for the Jets, getting roughed with a late hit out of bounds. And that was like the one first down the Jets had. And then Ryan Finley, I think, was the starting quarterback for the Cardinals. And that Cardinals team went to the playoffs with, I'm probably thinking of a different quarterback, but the name sounds like that quarterback who interesting ties here. He lost that quarterback, Finley was the starter for the Cardinals in the playoff game against the Panthers, who were 7-9. But they won the NFC South, so they hosted the Cardinals and they won that game. And I bring that up because the Giants, currently in first place after beating the Bengals by 2. I think they were favored by 5.5 as road favorites. I can't remember the last time they were favored by 5.5 as road favorites. But there's a possibility that we could go like 6-10 and host a playoff game and win. Because I don't know that a lot of teams are itching to come to the Meadowlands in January. Anyway, Bengals are the Garofalo stated that the Bengals plan to start Brandon Allen. Allen was on the practice squad the other day. So, a practice squad backup. What does that mean? We stink against backups, but if it's the backup of a backup, how are we doing against third string quarterbacks? Does that mean 2 wrongs make a right? I don't know. The last 5 matchups, I mean, every game, with the exception of one, has been close with the Bengals. You know, in 2004, they beat us by 1 the day after Christmas with Eli. And then 2008, we had the home win. So it's like no team has had a road victory before this happened this past weekend. Giants won by 3 in 2008. I think we were at that game. That was a good game. I like that game a lot. And then the Bengals blew us out in 2012, and then we won by 1, which I also went to that game. That's crazy. I think I've been to more Giants-Bengals games than I have like Giants-Cowboys. No, that's not true. No, it's not true. Why would I make that up? Anyway, the games are always close, and the home team always wins. So that was another factor, even though it's not like, I mean, Jesus, the last time they played was 4 years ago. How many players from those 2 teams are still on the teams? I get it. But still, it's just like the aura, the stigma attached to this game. You know, I didn't want to take that. I was like, well, we'll win, but it's, I don't know about 5.5, even with all those players missing. And of course, the 97 game, which we talked about maybe last week or the week before, was sweetest bye weeks. This was the game that the Giants won right before the bye week to go 6-3, I think. Bengals lead the all-time series 6-4, and their only 2 wins have come at home. So that, you know, I mean, there's nothing crazy going on with these Bengals that makes you think that they have a shot. But that's exactly why it's called a trap game. The one thing that I think, I was going to do a preview. I was going to drop a surprise episode on everyone last week because I basically said I was going to take the week off, or I wasn't going to be able to do it. And then I had time and I was going to rush it out. And I was like, this is going to be half-assed, so I wasn't going to do it. But I did put together a whole full preview for the Bengals game. And one thing I did notice is that the Bengals defense is pretty horrible against tight ends. So it would have been a great opportunity for Evan Engram to make a big splash. And even though that Daniel Jones has a 51 passer rating when throwing to Evan Engram, which is just startling. And Evan Engram did not disappoint. He had a career high in receiving yards and maybe catches, not catches, but receiving yards. But still as frustrating as ever. I mean, he has the huge 51 yard gain on the first drive. Some people thought he should have scored. I don't know. But great. Beat his man off the line, clearly 2 yards ahead of him. Good catch on the run. And then another drive, we're driving. I think it was like a 12-play drive. And just doesn't secure the ball. And it gets punched out. And then, the Bengals are in the ball game. And they're up 10-7 at one point in the first half. And you're like, how the fuck is this happening right now? Like, we're dominating this team. Their offense is not doing dock, and we're losing. And it's mostly because of the special teams. This is the worst special teams game in the Joe Judge era, as young as it is. But like a kickoff return for a touchdown after we score our touchdown really it really felt like that first drive was such a statement drive. It was like, we came in here, we're not going to crumble. We're not going to slip up. We're not going to let this team take this team easy. We're going to put our foot on the pedal and stick it to them. And then you're like, and then the kickoff return for touchdown. You're like, wait, what? Special teams is like supposed to be probably our strongest unit, if you think about it. And I know their defense is doing great, but like our special teams unit has been top notch. And for them to give up kickoff return for a touchdown, and then for them to, if it's not for Cam Brown's shoestring tackle on Erickson on that last punt return, I mean, we could be looking at a 20, like that could have been a touchdown. And you're looking at the Bengals winning, and everyone's just looking, like standing there looking around like, what the hell just happened? How did we lose that game? I mean, you look at the team stats and we just like blew them out of the water. Almost 400 yards of total offense to their 150. The Bengals had 155 total yards versus the Giants, their fewest in a game since week 9, 2017. Jones and McCoy put up 244 passing yards. Allen only managed like 115. Put up 142 rushing yards to Cincy's 40. Giants have 100-plus rushing yards in 6 straight games for the first time since 2010, which should have been a playoff year, and I thought should have been a Super Bowl year. Had that fucking miracle not happened that we don't talk about. Justin Pennick from Talking Giants, he said that at the conclusion of week 3, 35% of Giants rushing attempts were either gains of 0 or went for negative yards. That was the highest in the NFL. It's what? It's hard to imagine that we're in the same season. Like the difference that is the evolution of the run game has been leaps and bounds. And yet we're still like right at the league average now, because that's how bad our run game was in the first quarter of the season. As of week 11, the Giants brought that total down to 20%, the 4th highest in the NFL. So is that because Joe Judge got more involved and decided to take more control over the more oversight over the offensive line? I like to think so. No sacks allowed. So this offensive line, as much as the media or the New York Post or whoever thinks that it's a stupid idea to rotate offensive linemen, and that's without Matt Parrott. As much as people criticize rotating the offensive line, I think it's worked out pretty well. And I think, you're looking at, Joe Judge broke it down, the Joe Judge report. But the pocket, even Brian Baldinger had Baldy's breakdowns. He had like a 6-minute breakdown of like all the positive plays, big plays from the Giants, 10 of 80 snaps or something like that. And he was just jizzing everywhere. He was just organizing left and right with how improved the offensive line is and how they move the line of scrimmage and give Jones and McCoy a clean pocket. It's just so nice to see the offensive line come together, because we're going to really need them this week against Seattle. Third down efficiency, the Giants were 42% on third down, and we had almost 38 minutes of possession, and we only won by 2. It's like, what? Jones was 16-27 of 213 before he injured his hamstring, which is I don't even understand how it happened. This is where I don't get hamstrings. Is like, you would have thought that he would have pulled a hamstring when on that long ass run against the Eagles in Philly, where he tripped. Like, oh, he must have pulled a hamstring, or any other run. And this was like, he's not in full speed. It's a 7-yard gain, and he just came up gimpy. And the broadcasters were mentioning it being possibly like a Willis Reed moment for the Knicks. And he did come back out, and then you could see like he couldn't like, even handing the ball off, he couldn't put any pressure on it. Even the throws that he was trying to make, he couldn't like drive the ball. So, all this talk about there's an outside chance he can play against the Seahawks, that would be shocking in my opinion. And if they try to, and this is where I don't think Joe Judge is that kind of risk taker. I honestly think that he's just not going to roll the dice on this. Yes, it's a conference game. It's not a division game. And he probably has enough confidence in Colt McCoy with more preparation, more first team reps. He said, that Colt McCoy gives his when he's on the, I guess not the practice unit, scout team, going against the first team defense, he gives them fits and problems. So, maybe that's a smokescreen. Who knows? But McCoy looked rough. He looked rough and he looked rusty to start off with when he first came in for Jones, and he didn't really start to settle in. He developed a nice little rapport with Shepard, but he didn't really settle in. I mean, 6 of 10, 31 yards. Does not inspire confidence, but maybe when he gets more first-team reps, things will change. Jones ranks, this is from PFF, Jones ranks 5th in the NFL in passing yards on throws of 10-plus yards downfield, trailing Rodgers, Wilson, Brady, and Mahomes. I mean, hello. Jones has a 78.8 overall grade, 12th best in the NFL, despite being pressured at a higher rate than any other quarterback. I mean, for anyone who doesn't believe in Daniel Jones or doesn't like Daniel Jones or doesn't think he's a franchise quarterback, what is your reasoning? Is it the turnovers? Is it, what is it? Bobby Skinner from Talking Giants, he charted every Daniel Jones pass in 2019 and 2020 into 2 categories: plays that have two 15-yard or more routes downfield and plays that don't. And Daniel Jones is considerably better when there's a downfield attack. Among the NFC East teams through 11 weeks, the Giants ranked 1st in passing grade and 2nd in receiving grade. That's from PFF. So, I'd feel a lot better if we weren't going through this next stretch of games, though. It's like if we were just playing average teams, 500 ball clubs or worse, I would feel a lot better about our chances. But also, I don't know that that these teams have faced what we have. Now, take our offense away, or maybe not take our offense away, but if you're able to run the ball, and this was Dave Gettleman's vision, right? And this is kind of what Joe Judge has also kind of reinforced or emphasized. If you can run the ball, then you have play action is way more effective and efficient. So not to say that it almost doesn't matter who's throwing the ball, but it makes it a lot easier on the quarterback. And so I think it's going to, McCoy, if you can get the run game going, the issue with the Seahawks is, we'll get into it, but I don't know that we'll be able to run the ball. Gallman had the Wayne train. Another great game. 24 carries, 94 yards, and a touch. A little less than 4 yards per average, but that's also because he, a lot of goal line situations that took away some, that lowered that. He's the first Giants player with 1 or more rushing touchdowns in 5 straight games since Andre Brown, 3,000 in 2012, 2013. Talked about Ingram, 6 catches, 29 yards, and 9 targets. That's a much better catch percentage than we're used to. So there was a career high. It's his first game of over 70 yards this season. So is this his breakout game? Is this where he finally takes that step forward and becomes what we all thought he would become after seeing, some pretty insane plays earlier on in his career? Is he going to take the next step? Is he going to be averaging more than 70 yards receiving per game? That's the hope. Because if he can, then you've got a pretty nice trio. Or, even you throw Tate into the mix there too. If you can get all 4 of those guys, we keep saying it year after year, if. But if they all start clicking at the right time, you can go on a serious run, as we saw in the 2011 playoffs, or even the 07 playoffs. You have Burris, Toomer, and Smith clicking. And in the 11 playoffs, you had Nix, Cruz, and Manningham clicking. They just get their shit right. Sterling Shepard, another awesome game. 8 targets, 7 catches, 64 yards. First Giants receiver with 6 or more receptions in 5 straight games played since Odell Beckham Jr. in 2018. Golden Tate, 9 targets, 4 catches, 36 yards. We threw you the damn ball. You can't complain about not getting the ball with those numbers. He was getting shit talked and trash talked the entire game by that Alexander dude. What's his name? Mackenzie Alexander or something like that. That guy was in Golden Tate's ear hole the entire time. And, I guess shout out to Tate. He didn't respond and catch a flag. So good for him. Darius Slayton, 2 targets, 0 catches. He's on the injury report this week. I mean, Shep's on the injury report too, but this is what we talk about when we talk about Darius Slayton. He just can disappear sometimes. Only 2 targets. Eesh. And the big miss for him was, and maybe he's the kind of guy that needs to have that first catch to kind of feel comfortable running his routes, because he had that deep shot from Jones that just missed. That is for sure a touchdown if he catches it. Do I think he had the ability to lay out? I don't know. You're running full speed. Does it look like you can lay out when you're running full speed? It went off his fingertips. I think, it's similar to the Evan Ingram drop against the Eagles in Philly. So I think that really maybe threw him off for the rest of the game. But that would have been a big one. Jabal Sheard with the humongous sack and forced fumble that Leonard Williams recovered. Jabal Sheard, I mean, that kind of flew under the radar, but this guy could make a huge difference down the road with the pass rush and everything. Like, I think that was a huge pickup that not a lot of people are talking about, but maybe they will start talking about it more, and I don't talk about it. And then, of course, Logan Ryan with another outstanding game. Forced fumble and a recovery. He's got Pro Bowl written all over him. I think he is the favorite at the free safety position for Pro Bowl. So I think he deserves it. And everyone wants him to get extended. Is he going to be too rich for our tastes? Potentially, because you also have to think about, are you going to re-sign Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson? And you also have to think about the Saquon Barkley contract coming on the road. Although everyone in the New York sports media sphere is saying like, oh, we don't need Saquon Barkley now. We have the Wayne train. It's like, we're just gonna, okay. That's that, huh? We couldn't win with Saquon, even though he's a once in a lifetime player. They were also bringing up Christian McCaffrey. I guess the Panthers are like 0-3 with him, 4-5 without him. So it's like, do the Panthers need Christian McCaffrey? It's like, whew, you're really putting the onus on one player, huh? Okay. And then Nico Lalos, my man, undrafted out of Dartmouth, I think. And what a fucking play, dude. He had a pass defended, which was awesome. And then he also came back when a great play by Darnay Holmes to knock the ball away. And Nico was pass rushing and managed to peel off and dive and make the interception. And apparently was a black belt at the age of 10. And so I tweeted out the little Nico Lalos as an infant with an animated gif of the if you've never seen this video, it's pretty impressive. It came out a while ago, but like it looks like a baby in like the Kill Bill outfit, like karate fighting a stuffed animal and like and pulling its doing the whole is it Bruce Lee where he like reaches into the guy's chest and pulls out his heart. I tweeted that and he gave me a like and a retweet. Fuck yeah, dude. Jabril Peppers had another great game. 2 passes defended. He had that one knock away on a deep pass that could have put the Bengals in field goal position. And I guess the one negative from the game on the defensive side of the ball is that Kyler Fackrell has gone on the injured reserve. I think it's like a foot maybe type thing. So that sucks. Even though he was not really producing at the same level as he was in the first half of the season, it still kills because O'Shane Zimenez is also out for the season with a torn pec or torn rotator cuff, I think it is. So we're now down to like Carter Coughlin's going to have to really step up. Cam Brown's going to have to really step up. Luckily, I think, Jabal Sheard looks like he's going to be more full-time. Luckily we have Tate Crowder to relieve, some of the pressure off David Mayo and to get Devontae Downs away from the field as much as possible. So sucks because like we had a wealth of outside linebacking talent. I mean, that was one of the things that I talked about, before the season even started, was like, holy shit, we're cutting David Mayo, but yet we're keeping like 8 outside linebackers. And sure enough, we went through them all. Traded Marcus Golden, Zimenez hurt, Carter hurt, and now Fackrell hurt. Boy. Another solid outing, 4 of 4. We were worried that he might not be able to play, and he showed up and he showed out. Riley Dixon, another great game. Although, the last punt, okay, I'm sitting there going, there's a lot of time on the clock. They just need a field goal. We're only up by 2. We're kind of deep in our own territory. We really need Riley Dixon to just launch one. And he did, but I guess he didn't get enough hang time. And it's like there's plenty of room for Erickson to run. And so that became an issue. That kick return was the longest play in Bengals history, 103 yards. Sure, why not? So that's the Bengals game. Man, put a little hair on your chests. Took a couple years off my life, but we got her done. And yeah, people are gonna shit on that win and say, "Well, you should have lost." What happens if Joe Burrow plays? Do they win? And it's like, come on. Win's a win. That's all we care about. That's all we care about at the end of the day is the final freaking record. So that's the Bengals game. Seahawks game. Let's preview the Week 13. Week 13? Yeah, Week 13 game. And it's the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. It's a 4:00 game. The last 5 matchups, not pretty for the Giants. The last win for us came in 2010. That was 2 days before my 30th birthday. And it was memorable because it was Steve Smith basically went down and never got back up. He never came back and played for the Giants. He ended up going to the Eagles. I don't think he even saw the field with the Eagles. And what a abrupt end to a dude's career. That didn't seem like it was like a career-ending injury at the time. It was just like, he's down. Tough luck. Rub some dirt on it, and then we'll see you soon. And he's a guy who made a huge difference for us in the 2007 season, his rookie season. Had a Pro Bowl, like, spectacular year in 2009, I think it was, or he had like over 100 and some odd catches, something like that. And you think, this guy's going to be around forever. He's going to be around. He's going to be the next Amani Toomer or, whatever. And nope, that was it. That game in which we blew out Seattle in Seattle, 41-7. That was it for him. And then it's been rough ever since. We lost in 2011. That was a home game. That's when Victor Cruz made that insane catch down the right sideline where Eli threw in a double coverage and Cruz batted up and scored. And then we got shut out in 2013. That was a pretty ugly loss. I want to say that was our first shutout loss in like 18 years at home. And then we got blown out on my birthday in 2014. And then we put up a decent fight in 2017, all things considered, considering we like had 0 like wide receivers or running backs or anyone on offense. We lost 24-7 at home. And this one's in Seattle, and Seattle is 5-0 at home. So not feeling too great about this game going to Seattle, but just as the Bengals were like a trap game for us last week, I think that this is a trap game for the Seahawks. But maybe not, because I've heard some them talk about the Giants, and like they are being very kind and complimentary about the New York Football Giants. So we're 2-4 away. We probably should be 4-2 away, considering we really flubbed some pretty surefire wins against the Cowboys in Dallas and the Eagles in Philly. This team, the Seattle team, scores a lot of points, dude. They're third in the league in points scored per game. Somehow we are still 30th. It's just like, why can't we get out of the basement? It does not feel like our offense is that bad, but then you look at the points that they put up and you're like, holy shit. But the Seattle's defense is not like the Seattle defense of old, although I think they're starting to get into a groove of late. So I think these numbers are a little deceiving. 26th in the league in points allowed per game at 27.6. We're even with takeaway differential. The Seahawks passing game is electric. They're fourth in the league in passing yards per game. Russell Wilson has 31 motherfucking touchdowns. It would take Daniel Jones 4 seasons to reach that number at his current rate. They just throw bombs. It's just throw it to Metcalf deep or short and let him run, or lock it across, or it's just lock it to Metcalf, just like burning fools. They're 11th in rushing yards per game, and I think a lot of that has to do with Russell Wilson's ability to scramble. But they're dead last in passing yards. You think we're bad defensively, allowing passing yards, big chunk plays and whatnot. Seattle's dead last, 328 passing yards allowed per game. So even if DJ doesn't get the start, Colt McCoy, saddle up, partner. Make sure the arm is loosey-goosey and fire away, my friend. And I alluded to this earlier, but like the Seahawks are third in rushing yards allowed per game. Giants are fifth. So I think if you're going to see a lot of passing, I think. But who knows? I mean, this Giants run game is starting to come together. But is Seattle betting on the fact that we're going to try and lean on the run to limit the amount of opportunities for Colt McCoy to make a mistake? Possibly. Bobby Wagner, Seahawks linebacker, is a tackling machine. He is their version of Blake Martinez. And how about this? Jamal Adams leads the team in sacks and QB hits. For your records, Jamal Adams, strong safety. That's bizarre. So it's not really the Legion of Boom that you're used to, really. And the pass rush, I feel like, is when your strong safety is leading the team in hits and sacks. That's interesting. So I think the first defensive lineman that has I think like 6 sacks, 8 QB hits, something like that, is Jaron Reed. And then Carlos Dunlap is injured and might not play. They have a lot of injuries. The Seahawks do, especially on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of guys on IR. I mean, we have a lot of guys on IR, but not to the extent that they do. So who knows? Maybe we catch them napping. I mean, they go into Philly, and I know, the Seahawks are not as good away as they are at home. They go into Philly, and they pretty much own the game, dominated the game for most of it, ended up only winning by 6. So that was a funny bet too, because I basically tuned out. I think I watched the first half, and then I was like, all right, fuck this game. Like the Eagles had like 4 passing yards through a half, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to stick around for this. And then it turns out I think I did have the Eagles plus 6.5. So with them going for 2 when I guess it was out of reach. I don't know. Many people call that a bad beat. I say good beat. So that's the Giants. Let's go Giants. Maybe we come on with a win. Maybe we don't. I don't think we should we should trot Daniel Jones out there just to have a setback. If he's not, I mean, you try to put a percentage on it, but it's like it's just like made up math. Like, how do you put a percentage on an injury? I'd say if he's not feeling as close to 100%, if he can play the game without even thinking about his hamstring, great. But I just don't think that's possible. Not this close. So I'd say, Colt McCoy, do your magic, and see what we can come away with. They were showing some, I don't know if it was the Post or whatever, but like there was the preseason rankings of backup quarterbacks. I think we actually talked about it way back in August. But in terms of the NFC East, Colt McCoy, or I guess overall in the league, he ranks like 27th amongst backup quarterbacks, according to whatever friggin' stupid system they have for ranking. So time to prove the haters wrong, Colt. And I think Clem from Barstool Sports has the Colt 45 Club, hype club. So let's get on that. So that's the Giants. Let's talk Mets. Got a lot to talk about with the Mets. First and foremost, we're going to talk about what are the best free agent fits of the Major League Baseball offseason. This is by Travis Sawchik of 538 Sports. In 2020, the Mets tied the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers for the most efficient offense in the majors, according to weighted runs created plus. I always wondered what the WRC plus meant. I always thought it was like with RC Cola plus, like RC Cola plus. The RC Cola came out with a new cola called RC plus. Mets ranked 5th in wins above replacement for position players according to Fangraphs. So basically his argument here is like, we don't really need offense. We really need pitching. Mets ranked 26th in the majors in starting pitching ERA last season, and their bullpen ERA was also in the bottom half of the league. So while we're going to get Marcus Stroman back, and we expect Thor to come back, it looks like Trevor Bauer would be a pretty sweet free agent fit for the New York Metros. So if we can get him, things are looking up. But that said, when we did get Trevor May, hard throwing reliever, I mean, how many times have we gone over like possible trades, free agent acquisitions that we should explore? Trevor May's name never came up. So kind of, I guess, surprising because it happened so quickly. It was like, I remember it was like, sources say the Mets are in talks with Trevor May. And then 5 seconds later, it's like, sources say Trevor May has signed a 2-year deal. It's like, whoa, okay. Did he just walk into the building and was like, here's a pen, where's a contract? That kind of thing. He spent all 6 years of his career in Minnesota, started in 24 at age 24. Started 16 games in 2015, but has been primarily used as a setup guy and kind of spot closer here and there. He had 3 saves in 2018, 2 in 19, 2 in 20. I guess he finished 13 games last year. Only 2 saves. Okay. And 5.43 strikeouts per walk, 14.7 strikeouts over 9 innings. So this bullpen is coming around. 1.157 whip, not too bad. And 3.86 ERA. He's been he missed the 2017 season, but since then, he's been under 4 for an ERA. So, I mean, no accolades to speak of, no awards, no recognition, but just kind of a solid. And I think this is what you're going to get more of from the Steve Cohen, Sandy Alderson regime. Are these kind of players that fly under the radar, that put up pretty decent numbers, but aren't all-stars or silver sluggers or gold glovers or what have you, but have just nice numbers that are slightly above average. I mean, if you look at I mean, that's kind of the formula for success for the Rays. And I know they lost to the Dodgers, but I mean, they got to the World Series. So May's 30, 2-year contract. If he can put up, let's take a look at the projections here, but he's projected to go 3-2 with a 3.98 ERA, 2 saves, with a whip of 1.256 and 10 Ks over 9. I mean, I don't hate it. As long as you can keep it under 4, I'm fine with it. So I think that's a good signing. He's already taken to the Mets Twitter saying LFGM, posting a pic of himself in the Mets uniform. Apparently he hit it off with Steve Cohen. So I like the signing. It's completely out of left field. Didn't see it coming. Was not mentioned in any of the friggin' reports that I read. So it just goes to show you like how all this hot stove off-season talk can be a lot of hot air. This is from Will Leach, MLB.com. Springer's most likely destination is ... clickbait. And I don't know who the other teams are. Probably should have wrote that down. I forget who the number 1 team is. It's not the Mets. Spoiler alert. So, but I think the number 1 team was either was it the Blue Jays or the Red Sox? I think the Red Sox were actually 3rd. So it might be the Blue Jays are number 1. So I know that's kind of picking up some steam. Springer to the Blue Jays. Anyway, Leach writes about the Mets. The Mets are the 2nd most likely destination, according to Will Leach. He says, this was my colleague Mike Petriello's pick, and it's not difficult to see why. They are, after all, a team with a new owner, seem to have money to spend, and Springer's a game changer. Question is where the Mets should focus that money, considering the clear fits of both Trevor Bauer and JT Realmuto. Less clear fit of Springer in a semi-crowded outfield, disagree, but you want to improve the Mets immediately, signing George Springer's next way to do that. Crowded outfield, what are you talking about, bro? We have 2 outfielders. We have 2 actual real live outfielders. So don't know what he's talking about. Also, JT Realmuto, it appears that the Mets are probably in more serious discussions with James McCann from the White Sox on a 4-year deal, as opposed to Realmuto, who would probably be way more expensive and would want a longer deal. So, but it's also like the Phillies coming around and saying, well, we don't have the money to sign. Don't expect us to sign it when we lost $2 billion last year. That was an actual tweet. It was actually something that the Phillies organization said, like, don't expect us to sign any big contracts. We lost a lot of money. So then if you're a Realmuto, you're like, okay. But I already said I'm not too high on playing in New York. Like I said, I'm fine with passing on Realmuto. I'm completely fine with it, I think. Would be nice to get Bauer, but are there cheaper options that, And then Springer, I would say, and I keep saying this, but I think my number 1 target would be Springer. It just makes overall the defensive runs saved, plus the offense, and you don't have to juggle and worry about left field. LeMahieu to the Mets could have a domino effect. This is from Thomas Harrigan. He says that if the Mets do sign DJ Lemahieu, which I think is just wrong on every level, he believes that Francisco Lindor goes to the Bronx, to the Yankees, and then Gleyber Torres' defense at shortstop is a legitimate concern. And so the Mets, Yankees, Phillies, Blue Jays, and Cardinals are viewed as the strongest candidates. First DJ, then Bauer. Mets could be more inclined to pursue right-hander Trevor Bauer rather than making a play for catcher Realmuto or Springer. I disagree, especially with what happened with Cano. I think there's enough money to be passed around, and there's already been reports that we're going to land more than one big free agent. So I don't think landing LeMahieu would rule out Springer and Bauer. Blue Jays turn their focus to center field, swoop in and snag George Springer, which is, like I said, picking up some steam. And then the Dodgers, it might be Dodgers or bust for Arenado Nolan Arenado's trade chances. Which, you know, with all the talk about Nolan Arenado not performing away, it would make sense for him to go to another NL West team where he could play a bunch of his the next highest amount of games at Coors Field in Colorado. So where are you going to go? You might as well go to like the team that has the payroll, and that's the Dodgers. Especially, I don't know what's going on with Justin Turner. Has he been like exiled because of the COVID thing after the World Series? I don't know. And then this writer says the Nationals ramp up pursuit of an impact bat, and that would mean going after Chris Bryant or Real Muto. Yeah. Please no. God damn. NL East, dude. The Nats, Phillies, and Braves, they just don't quit. Although I guess the Phillies, there were a lot of non-tendered contracts, or not a lot of non-tendered players that happened. And Maikel Franco, who I think is like a Mets killer, was one of the non-tendereds. Sure, the Mets acquired Kevin Kiermaier this offseason, huh? And by Thomas Hall from Metsmerized Online. The Rays have reportedly made Kevin Kiermaier available through trade. He's entering his age 31 season. 2 years left, over $23 million remaining on his 6-year deal. It was signed back in 2017. Also has a $13 million club option included in his deal for 2023. Carries a $2.5 million buyout. So what does that mean for us? I think that means probably giving up catcher Ali Sanchez, our top catching prospect. And then New York could allow them to choose between either Freddie Valdez, a power-hitting outfielder, or Alexander Ramirez, a 5-tool outfielder, to complete the deal. Kiermaier had a career-high walk rate and the highest hard hit rate of his career. Additionally, he's also reduced his first pitch swing rate by almost 11% and his chase rate by 11%. So, you know, the knock on him was like his offense is not so great, but his defense is stellar. And so his offense is picking up. But again, and I mean, I could get into the next section, but I don't even know if I should, because I guess the reports are that the Mets are more inclined to go after free agents and not pillage and plunder their prospect system, their farm system, and try and like just ease up on giving away all our young talent, which I agree with. If you have the money now, which we do, go after the free agents and try to hold on to and preserve your farm system and bring up the prospects. And, you know, the Braves have been doing it for years. So, and they've been successful. So I'm kind of like, it's almost like maybe the Francisco Lindor deal is not going to happen now. I was like so 99.9% positive that thing was going to go through. And now it's looking like maybe not. Oh, anyway, we can still do it. Here are 7 potential Lindor trade proposals. Francisco Lindor trade proposals. And I forgot to write down who the author is. My apologies. But this is from... I got to look this up. I got to give credit where credit is due. You know, I got Jordan Braynon accusing Peeps of stealing. Was it Newsbreak? No. MLB.com. Okay. Duh. Yeah, it's just by MLB.com. Cool. So here are 7 potential trade proposals for Francisco Lindor. I'm not going to go through all 7. I'm just going to go over the one that matters most to my fans. Not my fans, Mets fans. The superstar splash for the new look Mets. So the Mets would get Lindor and catcher Austin Hedges, and the Indians would get Andre Jimenez, Jeff McNeil, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Riley Gilliam. So basically, our shortstop of the future, who's already pretty much proven himself, Jeff McNeil, who's like, we've always said untradeable. Pete Crow Armstrong, our number 5 prospect, and Riley Gilliam, our number 25 prospect. If that is the proposal, kindly exit the premises. Get the fuck out of here, dude. It's got it. There's no to Jimenez or McNeil, and you're not getting both Crow Armstrong and Gilliam. I'd be more inclined to give up Gilliam, JD Davis, Ahmed Rosario, and I probably won't get the deal done, but that's what I would offer. Let them come back to you. Why it could work. This trade could give both teams multiple pieces that they both need. No shenanigans, especially if the Mets could get Lindor to sign a long-term extension after a trade. Could be a win-win. Mets get a superstar shortstop, face of the franchise. Instant impact. Top defense. One of the top defensive and framing catchers in the majors in Austin Hedges, which has been obviously a major weakness for us for, they say recent seasons. We have not had a really good defensive catcher. Gary Carter? I don't know. It's been a while. Indians get a promising shortstop in Jimenez. Under team control of 2026. McNeil can play wherever, quote unquote. Crow Armstrong, high ceiling outfield prospect. Gilliam is a pitching prospect close to the majors who could balance the deal since it also includes 2 more years. Who says no? Well, here it is. Who says no? The Mets. This is from David Adler. Sorry. There are a couple of hangups here, even aside from McNeil being a fan favorite for the New York faithful. Yeah. It might be overreaching to ask the Mets to give up Crow Armstrong first round draft pick just this year. Yeah, dude. Well, and he brings up Jared Kelenic, obviously. Why not? Kelenic looks like he'll be a future star at the Mariners. Yeah, we only hear about that every other week. Crow Armstrong is only 18. He could be a future star too. Yeah, I don't know. No. There was a wild trade idea here, which I don't even know if I should address because it's like a fucking wild trade. Cool, man. We're not into trades, bro. There's one trade we want, and we're not giving up all that shit for Lindor, I'll tell you that much. A's and Mets could transform each other's off seasons per John Heyman. The 1 year. We also signed Sam McWilliams. So I didn't even go into the A's and Mets wild trade idea because I think it's a little too wild. I guess I could take a little peek. I think it involves Dom Smith. It's from what the fuck is this? Athletic SB Nation's, the A's site and the SB Nation network. I think it's called Athletics Nation or some garbage. The subhead is, this is completely unrealistic. It's from Alex Hall, unless it makes total sense. Oh. All right, let's see what the deal is here. I think it's all the way at the bottom. Okay. So the A's get Dom Smith. The Mets get Chris Davis, DH, an outfielder, and a left-handed pitcher. AJ Puck is a left-handed pitcher. I hope it's Puck. For Chris Davis, who I need to look up because, is Chris Davis the same Chris Davis from yesteryear? You know what I mean? Is he still the same guy? The MVP candidate from 2018 when he had 48 ding-dongs? He's going to be 33 in 21. He did not play a whole lot. He only played half the games last year. But he did have 23 home runs and 73 RBIs in 2019. So is he on the decline? He's not in his prime. There was 3 straight seasons of 40 plus homers and 100 plus RBIs. But it's looking like he's regressing and he's going back into I'm not too crazy about it. If we're being honest, left fielder and designated hitter. Again, this goes back to the Marcell Ozuna discussion we had a couple weeks ago where it's like, do we need a left fielder and a designated hitter? No, we need a center fielder. Plain and simple. Who's this guy? Canha, though. Mark Canha. Right-handed batter. Recent history of success. Gets negative marked in center field. I mean, no. Yeah, so this guy wasn't lying. This is a fucking crazy idea, and I don't want nothing to do with it. So, okay. We also signed Sam McWilliams. Kind of old news, but thought I'd just bring it up again. Per John Heyman, the 1 year, $750,000 contract. $750,000 contract is the largest free agent salary in the last decade for a player with no Major League Baseball service. Who didn't come over from Asia? Sam McWilliams. In 2019 at AAA Durham Bulls, hell yeah. In the Rays system, McWilliams went 1-6 with an 8.18 ERA. Holy shit. And allowed 72 hits in 44 innings. Not great. That was his first taste of AAA. I mean, they must see something, you know? I think the dude's like 6'8". So this reeks of like Sandy Alderson Moneyball type stuff. He's 6'7", 230. So I don't know. Maybe he sees something in this dude to be like, maybe just getting off the bus. Intimidation factor. But damn, Betances and this dude back to back. What the Mets should do is they should stagger that shit. So you have like, you know, Stroman at 5'7", you bring in Betances at 6, whatever the fuck he is, 8, and you bring in who else is short? Someone who's like Miguel Castro, nice and small, and then McWilliams. Just like the batters would be like, we have no idea what the release point is. We cannot calibrate. All right, Rising Apple had 2 articles. First was I meant to mention if I did it last week. It was the top 5 November trades. The only 2 that I can really speak to, and then they also came out with the top 5 worst, or the 5 worst December trades, of which there were 2 that I can speak to. So the best November trades, the top 5 November trades, coming at number 3 was the Mets steal Carlos Delgado from the Marlins in a trade. What a heist. Along with some cash, Carlos Delgado was traded to New York. The Mets gave up Mike Jacobs, Yasmiro Petit, and Grant Somas. Whoa. I don't even think those are real people. But the Mets giving up Mike Jacobs, that hurt a little bit. That stung a little bit. Because I remember Jacobs, was it in 2005? He was like, he had a little moment there where he went on a tear. I remember we called him Lieutenant Corporal Mike Jacobs. He just looked like a military dude. But it's for the best. Delgado slugged 38 home runs and drove in 114 RBIs in 2006. He had another 24 ding-dongs in 2007 and 38 more in 2008. He would have surely added 20 more in 2009 if he didn't get hurt. His slash line was 267, 351, 506 with over 100 home runs. Matthew Brownstein said that Carlos Delgado is one of 12 players in Major League history to post at least 11 seasons of 30 or more home runs with an OPS plus of 125 or better. And it's a shame he was left off the Hall of Fame ballot in the first year. Yeah, for sure. Tim Ryder said from 1998 through 2009, so that's 12 seasons, Delgado hit 285 slash line of 285, 391, 558 with over 400 home runs and a FWAR of 42. Delgado, man. Delgadim. Such a great pickup. So many clutch home runs. It's a goddamn crying shame that we did not win a World Series with him and Beltran and Wright and Reyes. Holy shit. And then the second best trade in November was when the Mets added Bobby Ojeda and trade with the Red Sox. All Ojeda did in 1986 was go out and win 18 games. His .783 winning percentage led the entire league. He finished 4th in Cy Young vote, went undefeated in the postseason. 51-40 record with a 3.12 ERA. I don't think we gave up much for him. Bobby Ojeda, who ended up losing a finger, I think, in a boating accident, possibly. Sad that that's like one of the things that I remember about him. I mean, I loved his windup. I love his delivery. I love that he, all that shit. So now the worst trades in December. There were 5, and I picked out 2 that I remember most. Number 4, the Mets get the bad end of Roberto Alomar. I remember not being too excited about this trade when it went down. In his 2 seasons with the Metros, Alomar slashed 265, 333, 370. Blah. With 13 home runs. He didn't even make it through the 2003 season as the team traded him to the White Sox. I don't even remember that trade. I just remember it was like, oh, Alomar must have gone on vacation, extended vacation. And then the number 3 worst December trade, and this one hurts because I do love the guy a lot, Mo Vaughn. He joined the Mets and did almost nothing. Meanwhile, we gave up Kevin Appier to the Angels in exchange for Mo Vaughn. Vaughn didn't play at all in 2001 due to an injury. But in 2000, he did hit 36 home runs and 117 RBIs. So it's like, are we getting that? Or are we getting this? And, it never got to that. He did hit 26 home runs in 2002 while hitting 259. But it was just disappointing all around. Appier went on to win a World Series with the Angels. Or go to the World Series. Yeah, win the World Series in 2002 against the Giants. And Vaughn only appeared in 27 games for the Mets in 2003, I think. Yeah. Hitting below the Mendoza, knocking only 3 home runs. And he made over $17 million in 2004 and didn't play a single game. Holy shit. Good God, dude. Although I don't know. I'm not salty about it. Because there's nothing I enjoyed more than Mo Vaughn hitting a home run in a Mets uniform. It was just so fantastic to watch. And there was a point where it was like every time he got up to the plate, I thought he was going to hit a home run. Every single time he got up, I thought he was hitting a home run. So I'm not going to hate on it. There have been a lot worse moves, in my opinion. And then there were 2 more trades that I can't speak a lot to, but that were considered among the worst. The first of the 2. So this is the second worst trade. Mike Scott to the Astros for Danny Heap. And Danny Heap did have a few. He was like the pitch hitter extraordinaire for the Mets in like, I guess, 85, 86, 87. And, here and there. But I think Mike Scott went on to win a Cy Young. So I think we got the worst end of that deal. And then the Nolan Ryan trade. Dude, it's like fucking A. Can you imagine? Alternate reality. Splinter the timeline. Disrupt the space-time continuum and think about for one goddamn second Nolan Ryan in a Mets uniform for like a decade. The things. I'm tempted to write a blog post about it. I'm really into what if scenarios. It's not healthy. I know that. But like, what if the Mets didn't trade Nolan Ryan? I mean, look, the very next year he becomes an all-star. He was an all-star 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 9 years, 8 years. And then we eventually faced him in the NLCS in 86 when he was 39. Dude pitched till he was 46 and was not bad. Like, 500, 13 starts. I don't know. God damn. Can you imagine? I mean, I think we probably would have won the 73 World Series with him for sure, right? All right. Jesus. Way to end on a down note, Neil, you idiot. All right. That's it. That's the show. It's 1:15 in the morning and I have work tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed this Giants and Mets only show. Hopefully I can dive a little bit more into TV and movie in the next go round. But thank you for listening. And I hope that you feel compelled to share this with friends and family that also like the Giants and Mets. Just say, hey, are you sick of FAN? Are you goddamn sick of CBS Sports Network? Tune into this asshole. But let's go Giants. I think we're going to see a couple of nice signings from the Mets over the course of the next week. I can feel it in my bones. And then I also think that the Giants are going to give the Seahawks a run for their money for at least a half, 3/4. And maybe they make it interesting down the stretch, down the home stretch. I don't know. I got this feeling like as bad as McCoy looked last week, that maybe he was just shaking it off. Shake it off, T Swift style. And that with a week of preparation, knowing that he's going to be the starter and with more focus with the first team and getting those reps, that maybe I don't envision him going another 6 for 10 for 31 yards. I feel like you get the Wayne train going a little bit. Who knows what Jason Garrett dials up. I mean, the Seahawks can't go undefeated forever at home, right? All right. That's enough. That's enough, Neil. That's enough. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week. We'll talk to you next week. Adios, muchachos.